Sourdough Squad. We have some football at Levi's Stadium today. It might not be 49ers football just quite yet, but it is the local pro day. So the San Francisco 49ers coaches are on the field as we speak right now, working out local college talent that will be entering the draft. So we'll talk about that a little bit. We'll talk about the meeting that the San Francisco 49ers have and the guys that they're poking around at, and Q&A. Ask me whatever you want. You guys are going to drive the show today. Smash that like button and let's talk some 49ers football. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it. Shout out to the Sourdough Squad. Look at the gluten gang in here cooking early. Aloha Smitty. It's been a while, my guy, but shout out to the regulars, to all the homies we see all the time, and shout out to all the new homies that we see in here. Bubbly, Charlene. We got Doopy. King James. Shout out to SDS. Niners Nation. Shout them out. All that good stuff. That's funny. Do I believe the rumor with Trey going for a second and fourth? I don't believe that was a rumor. I do believe that was a prediction by Larry Krueger. If we're talking about the same thing, when I was actually just on Larry Krueger's show earlier today, we talked nothing but draft prospects. It was a lot of fun. Rumor that Trey goes for a second and fourth. I believe he predicted that. Not sure it was. I don't know. We'll see. DTR. We'll talk about DTR a little bit. SDS. Let's get it started. 100%. Hopefully we draft Marte Mapu. Shout out to all the SDS. Appreciate you, Charlene. Charlene's always in here, always supporting the channel. Appreciate you guys, man. We got Hayner working. Shout out to Harold. Appreciate you, my guy. Glad you liking the ginger beard. It's starting to shine a little bit more with the sun coming out and everything cooking lately. But we got Alaska in the building. Oh, what's good, Alaska? Smash that like button. Man, I can't wait for the draft. Shout out to all the SDS. Because again, as you guys know, the local pro day is here. So the San Francisco 49ers are able to look at prospects closely, put them through a workout. And these are all prospects that have grew up or lived in the Bay Area, essentially. So they could, like, you have guys from Power 5 schools and they are here. Maybe, you have Henry Toa who went to Alabama, but he's a De La Salle kid. So the De La Meows, they are allowed to come to the local pro days. So you got a couple De La Salle kids in here. We got some Monta Vista kids. I played in the E-ball back in the day. Played against Monta Vista quite a bit. So it's cool. It's cool to see the local guys. So what we're going to do, let's go through some of the lists. Let's see the names that pop off. If anyone stands out, any prospects that we like. And again, today's going to be a Q&A episode. So if you got questions, you want to talk about something, we went through some of the things and we'll circle back around after this. If you got questions, you want to talk about something, feel free to drop it in the chat. Y'all could drive the show today. I'm putting you in charge. It could get a little crazy, but as you can see, this is the Pro Day roster. This is from Cam Inman of the Mercury News. He also says also attending but not participating, defensive end Isaiah Foskey. He is from Notre Dame. He's projected to be like I think around like a second round pick. Wide receiver Michael Wilson from Stanford made a lot of money so far in this draft process. He could be a second, third rounder. Cornerback Rajon Wright, a guy that I like quite a bit. Cornerback out of Ohio State. He's a last chance you kid. I like him a lot. He's a long, lengthy corner, physical, and underrated. I talked about Henry To'oTo'o a little bit, Alabama linebacker. He's not participating. And defensive lineman Junior Fehoko out of San Jose State, who put up a ton of sack production. I think 12 sacks last year. I like this one. Happy Jake Haener Day. There you go. Happy Jake Haener Day. So Jake Haener is probably going to be the headlining guy. 6'1", 200-pound Fresno State quarterback out of Monte Vista in Danville. He's a really good quarterback. He could be a guy drafted in the top 4 rounds, top 5 rounds. He could be a day 2 guy. Jake Haener is really, really good. It just actually saw right this second, I think David Lombardi tweeted that Jake Haener says he scored in the 97th percentile in the S2 cognition testing. That's the same test that Brock Purdy had elite scores in, and it looks like Jake Haener is in that category as well. But some of the names that I like on this list, I just started watching Mekhi Blackman. He's stood out to me. I wonder if he'll stand out to the San Francisco 49ers as well. Cornerback out of USC from East Palo Alto. He's definitely on the smaller side. But I've liked what I've seen from him so far. And you might be able to get him if you get him in like the 5th round, that's a pretty good value for a guy like that. Looking down the list again of guys, Bennett Williams out of Oregon, safety / cornerback. He's a guy that I've had my eye on for a while. Obviously, teammates with Diamador Lenore. You have Nico Remigio. I believe he did an interview with Steph Sanchez over on her channel. Former Cal guy. Let's see who else we got. Tanner McKee, quarterback he was quarterback for Stanford. He might be a day 2 guy as well. So the 49ers are going to be getting a good look at 2 high-end quarterbacks. Not high-end necessarily, but outside the top tier guys, right, that we talk about at the top of the draft. The San Francisco 49ers are going to be getting a good look at two decent quarterback prospects. And as we know, it's not just those 2 guys that they're going to get a good look at. They've been sniffing around Dorian Thompson-Robinson in regards to quarterbacks. So what is going to be fascinating about this draft is, what are the San Francisco 49ers going to do? Are these trade rumors with Trey Lance valid? Are they nothing to really pay much attention to? Or is the San Francisco 49ers doing their homework on quarterbacks something that we should be paying attention to? We're ultimately going to have to find out. But when you look at DTR, Jordan Elliott, who's actually on site right now, we were at the combine. He spoke to DTR, and DTR told Jordan that he had a formal meeting with the San Francisco 49ers at the combine. And then from that point on, the San Francisco 49ers have also had a private meeting with DTR. So they're doing their homework. And DTR could be a fourth, fifth round guy. Could he be a third round guy? I don't know if he goes that high. I mean, I'm kind of thinking like, Dak Prescott was like a fourth rounder. I would say DTR is probably going to be in that fourth, fifth round category. So one of the fascinating ways that I've been talking about uh how the 49ers are going to be attacking this quarterback position, because if we anticipate that the San Francisco 49ers are going into this year with three quarterbacks, Brock Purdy, Sam Darnold, and Trey Lance, they're definitely not going to roster four quarterbacks. So what I've been trying to process is, are they going to take that guy, that fourth quarterback, and try to get him around to the practice squad? If you're spending fifth round draft capital on a guy like DTR and you release him to try to get him back on the practice squad, another team could definitely pick him up. So, same thing with Jake Hayner, same thing with even Tanner McKee. Like, if they go with one of these guys, it's going to be fascinating because that's part of this process. The future of Trey Lance, right? Which is feels like it's in question constantly, daily, regarding not only does he have a chance to play, but is he going to stay on the. We're now having those conversations daily. Is Trey Lance going to stay on the roster? So that's why, like, I'm starting to lean in a little bit more to who this team is who the 49ers are working out. Like, I see that they clearly are interested in DTR, getting to know him better. Um so I'm kind of leaning in a little bit, trying to, like, get a better sense, because I don't believe the 49ers should trade Trey Lance. This mean that's what they're going to do. I'm looking at it in the sense of, if my rationale about trading Trey Lance is this: we don't know 100% what Brock Purdy is going to be on his way back. We anticipate he's going to be fine. Sam Darnold, I think, has the potential to step in and play well if that's required of him. And he's more than a capable backup. And what we'll see is if he can improve in a system with Kyle Shanahan. But there's still question marks on both of those guys. So, with question marks on both of those guys and question marks on Trey Lance, he's coming off an ankle injury. It just, I'm like, I don't feel comfortable. And would another team feel comfortable? I guess there's a rumor floating around that there's a second and fourth being floated potentially for Trey Lance. Is another team gonna offer that? A second and a fourth? Is it a high second? Like, is it 35? Are we talking pick 35? Or are we talking, pick 55? Because there's a big difference. So I'm not sure if another team would spend a lot to get Trey based on the circumstance. I don't know if I want to trade Trey at his lowest value. Again, in off-season mode, I'm kind of open to all things. You know, there's only so many guys that are, like, untouchable in my opinion. I think Bosa is untouchable. I don't personally want to trade Kittle, but if, I would never do that. And I don't think the 49ers would at this stage either. But again, you just never know. They're not going to trade Trent Williams. Fred Warner, not trading Fred Warner. Not trading CMC. But with Trey, it's it's something that I'm going to keep an open mind to. Um, Again, I believe it makes sense to keep Trey, rebuild, like see what you have in Trey, potentially build up more value if you do feel good with Brock Purdy and Sam Darnold, and you can maybe leverage some value out of him later. Maybe there's a quarterback injury in training camp early in the year, and he has done enough to elevate his stock a little bit. I don't know. I am I don't love the idea of trading Trey Lance at his least possible value. I can understand the 49ers potentially looking to trade him if they really do feel that comfortable with Brock Purdy and Sam Darnold. So it's going to be fascinating, man. It I'm trying to rack my brain on all the different outcomes, and it's crazy. It's crazy. Uh, all right, I'm gonna take some questions from you guys. I'm gonna go in order as they came in. Austin says, one more. I think it's what's more important to get first, a safety or right tackle or cornerback? What's your order? Even a wide receiver. So I like this question. This is a good question. This is a positional value question for the upcoming draft. And my positional value rankings go tackle first because there are some quality tackles that you can get. And because there's quality depth at other positions, like you might get a couple of these guys to slide out. There may still require a trade up to get the one you ultimately want, but I do like the idea of going tackle. Um, and I think you could find the future tackle in this class. So I have tackle as my kind of number one uh, on my positional rankings for the draft. Number two, um, number two, I would probably go safety. Safety, and depending on the safety, like Quan Martin out of Illinois. Uh, and if you could get him and like a Blake Freeland, a Nick Saldiveri, I think you're doing very, very well for yourself. The San Francisco 49ers, that is. So I think it's like 1A, 1B. I think they need to go get a safety. I think they need to go get a tackle. Offensive line, positional value will always rank higher for me. So O-line first, safety, then I would even say tight end 2. Then I would say, oh no, excuse me. Safety, I would say right tackle, safety, edge. Safety and edge might be interchangeable, but those three are at the top. Right tackle, edge, and safety. And then after that, tight end 2, I will take another cornerback and I will definitely take a wide receiver. So the beautiful thing is that the San Francisco 49ers have 11 picks and they have the ability to move up and down if they want to. And the other beautiful thing about this is a deep class. The San Francisco 49ers have an opportunity to hit again on later round picks. So that is a good thing. That's a great problem to have for the San Francisco 49ers. But I would say go with the premier positions first and then go from there. I like that question, though. Good question. Again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat and I'll kind of work my way through them. Who do I think is our quarterbacks week 1? This to me is a daily changing thought process. Because at first if I had to give you like a gut response right away, it would be Trey Lance, Brock Purdy, Sam Darnold. But if the 49ers draft a quarterback in the 5th round or something like that, then I do see the likelihood of maybe Trey Lance getting moved, go a little bit higher. Um, so that will be fascinating. That I still think right now it's Trey, Brock, and Sam Darnold, but it's gonna be crazy, man. It's- This ongoing conversation with the quarterback is going to be fascinating. Did anyone see the Hainer and Mooch whiteboard talk on the NFL Network? I did not see that, but those are always phenomenal watches. Love watching Mooch get on the board with these prospects. What if we did a bundle package of Trey and BA? Man, if you're doing a bundle package of Trey and BA, you should hopefully be getting a massive, massive haul in return. I think when you're talking about Brandon Ayuk, remember Jerry Jeudy and the Broncos, they were trying to fetch a one for Jeudy. I think Brandon Ayuk they're in the same draft class. I think Ayuk is infinitely better than Jerry Jeudy. Is more complete wide receiver and should go for double what Jeudy is potentially could go for. Again, they didn't trade him. They were unsuccessful. No one wanted Jeudy at that price tag. But if you're going to bundle those two guys, man, you better get something that's worth it because that's a big trade. Two former first rounders. BA is a fan favorite. So you're trading a fan favorite. You're trading a quarterback that you traded a lot. Only way that works for me is if they just get an unreal unreal haul in return. I don't know if a lot of people would want to trade both those guys at the same time, let alone BA. Charlene says, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. We don't trade BA, is my biggest fear headed into the draft. Trey is one I can process easier, but still just seems silly. It's all get a little silly, right? Rob says, really, Brad, comfortable. Darnold does not make me comfortable, which I understand. I understand why uh, you wouldn't feel. I'm comfortable with him in the context of being quarterback 2 or quarterback 3. That's where I feel comfortable. And if Sam Darnold was quarterback 1, I wouldn't feel as comfortable. There would be a lot more anxiety and stress surrounding that. But I think at quarterback 2 or quarterback 3, I feel fine. I feel fine with that. Not too worried about that at all. Um, Melvin says we need a backup quarterback, and I'd rather have Trey than Sam. I mean, Trey is still so young. Trey still feels like he has his whole career in front of him. Like, do we even know what Trey is at this point? It's crazy. You forgetting a running back for Kyle? The 49ers they had a formal meeting with Sean Tucker, Syracuse running back, at the combine, and he's like a third round prospect. So the 49ers have met with a running back who valued in about the third round range, and they got 3 picks. Be ready. What's good, Claudia? Chadwick says, I think we're taking cornerback Alex Austin from Oregon State in the 3rd round. Feels a little bit high for Alex Austin, but I do like Alex Austin. He feels more like a day 3 guy to me, but I like him. Is Antonio Mafe at the Pro Day? I don't believe so. Let me double check the list. No, he is not at the Pro Day. But the 49ers have had him in for a top 30 visit. So they are definitely interested in Mafe. I mean, that is a truck. You talk about a big bodied guard that is going to dig someone out in the run game. Mafe is your guy. That guy's mean. His legs are probably the size of my entire one leg is probably the size of my entire body, and I'm a big boy. He's a big load that will move you out the way. Um, so would be interesting. Harold says special teams. Nico Remigio would be perfect for special teams. Dude is Reggie Bush shifty, not a speed demon, but he's definitely effective. I've only seen a couple plays from him, even though he did play at Cal, and I think he transferred out to was he at Fresno State too? But yeah, he definitely has return ability. Who are some of the notable Niners? Who are some of the notable players the Niners have drafted from the local pro day? That's a phenomenal question. I know no one from the local pro day. Yes, last year made it. Um, I can't personally think of or remember, at least in my short time covering the San Francisco 49ers, any of the local pro day guys actually being drafted. Like just off the top of my head, I can't recall. Um, but that's a great question. I would love to figure that out. If any of you know that, feel free to drop it in the chat. Do you think we make all 11 picks, or do we trade up and or trade for picks next year? Great question, Carlos. And again, get your questions into the chat if you guys do have any. I don't think they make all 11 picks. I think the San Francisco 49ers, let's look at last year first, right? That was the year after the Trey Lance trade. You look at the 49ers, they did not trade a single pick. Normally, they move. The 49ers, since day one, have been movers. They trade back, they trade up. They are constantly on the move, constantly looking for value. Uh, again, BA was a trade up. Kinlaw was a trade down. Solomon Thomas was a trade down. Trey Sermon was a trade up. So they move. Reuben Foster was a trade up. They move all the time, and have definitely a history of doing just that. I don't, but they took a break last year, and it felt kind of intentional. I don't think they take a break this year. You got 11 picks, you got 3/3, you have a good amount of capital kind of in that middle ground of the draft. Let's target. Let's go get a guy that the San Francisco 49ers feel fits a need, whether it's edge, whether it's safety, whether it's tackle. I don't think the 49ers will make all 11 picks. I think they trade up. I think they trade out. I think because also keep in mind, the San Francisco 49ers are going to have more picks next year. They're going to get their first, they're going to get their second, and they're going to get comp picks. So for the free agents that they lost, like they're going to get a third rounder for Jimmy Garoppolo. They're going to get fourth rounders and fifth rounders for some of these guys that have signed elsewhere. Omenihu, Ebukam. They're going to get more comp picks. So the 49ers don't necessarily need more picks next year, but also again, I think I could see some picks from next year go if they wanted to kind of pair some things together to go do that. So I think they're going to be moving up and down. Charlene says, "Don't you effing dare." Don't you dare. Trade BA and Trey as a package. Zachary Gardner. Is there a chance of trading Armstead and drafting a cheaper defensive tackle to free up cap? Um, there's always a chance, but I do believe that the San Francisco 49ers love some Eric Armstead. The thing with Eric Armstead is that if they were to trade him, it's basically a $24 million cap hit right now, but he has a dead cap hit of 22 million. So if they trade him, that that cap doesn't leave. There's still the dead cap hit. They had a potential out last year to be able to opt out of the deal. They didn't. So in this year, it does look like there's basically 2 years left on the deal, and then there's like it kinda looks like a 2-year option after that. Um, but it's $22 million dead cap this year and a $14 million dead cap hit the following year in 2024. But then it does look like there could be a natural out in 2025. But technically, his deal doesn't end until 2027. So I don't think they do trade Eric Armstead at this point. It feels like he's pretty locked in. I don't know if you guys seen Eric Armstead. Take it for what it's worth. But Eric is in phenomenal shape. He like what is going to be interesting because we've seen them kick Eric inside from being outside. Do they kick Eric back outside? Because I'm not going to lie. And let me know what you think. I don't know if you guys have seen Eric Armstead as of late and kind of what his body composition looks like. He's leaning out. He looks lean. He looks strong. He looks lean. He looks edge lean. He doesn't look defensive tackle lean. He looks edge lean. So now we already know Eric Armstead has inside out versatility. That's one of the great things that he offers. I've always felt he's better suited on the interior, but maybe they kick him back out to edge. I don't know. I don't know what the plans are. They move these guys all over the place, but I don't think trading him is going to be an option because it doesn't really free up cap space, if that makes sense. There's still a pretty big dead cap hit. D-Buck says BA trade for Brian Burns. Oh, I'd love to have Brian Burns. But again, it kind of comes back to how do you afford it? Where's the money coming from? You got to pay him. You got to pay Brian Burns. If you could find the cash to to pay Brian Burns around 23 $24 million a year, I would entertain some kind of trade. BA for Trey, I don't know about that. I just have a hard time trading BA, man. I want BA to be a 49er for a long time. But if the 49ers don't have it within their plans of the future to keep BA, but there will, because it comes down to they've already spent on Debo. They're clearly shell out for the defensive line. They have no problems spending on the D line. Nick Bosa is going to be the highest paid defensive player in history. You saw what Hargrave got. You've seen what Armstead got. Who knows? But still feels, even as the leader of the Brian Burns hive, it does feel a little bit out there. And as we're getting closer and closer to the draft, I would imagine the Panthers are going to sign him to a contract extension and keep him around. But it will be fascinating. Shout out the caretaker says, let's get them likes up, SDS. Appreciate all you guys tapping in. Appreciate everyone liking the channel and asking questions. Who is my top tight end that's in reach? There are so many good tight ends in this class. I really like Davis Allen. Clemson tight end. Davis Allen is a guy that I really like. I don't know if you guys saw the video, but Sam Laporta is working out with George Kittle and TJ Hawkinson. He's another guy that would be great to see. I don't know if he'll be in range, though, unfortunately. Uh, um, what's his name? Payne Durham is a guy that I like. Tucker Kraft, the South Dakota State tight end, is another guy that I like. If they could get their hands on one of those tight ends, I would be ecstatic. I would be through the moon. Justin says Jack Hammer just said Hayner scored the 97th percentile on the S2 test. Hey man, the Jake Hayner, Brock Purdy comps, they seem to go hand in glove. 100%. Brandon says, "Yo, Brad, if Stetson Bennett is in the 3rd round, am I nabbing him? Whoo, I don't know about 3rd round Stetson Bennett. Um, I feel like with Purdy, Trey Lance, and uh the whole just Sam Darnold, the whole room that they have, I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to pay a premium for a quarterback just yet. The only way that I'm taking a quarterback any potentially high is if the 49ers actually trade Trey Lance. But I think that has to happen first because you risk the potential of having to cut one of these guys. Let's say Bennett doesn't beat out Trey Lance, and then you potentially have to cut him. So I would be hesitant, big time hesitant. I like what Bennett does. I will be honest about that. I do like. I think he's got something to him. I don't know if I'm taking him in the 3rd though, especially with the current roster construction. I could probably confidently say I'm not taking him in the 3rd. Um, but that's because the 49ers have 3 good quarterbacks right now. Uh, they have 3 good quarterbacks. So that's kind of where it is. What he says, Stetson is projected to be a 4th, 5th rounder. Are you taking him? 4th, 5th round is a definitely different conversation than 3rd. I probably am not taking a quarterback before, if it's up to me, I'm not taking a quarterback before the 6th if I have the current 3 quarterbacks on the roster, because that quarterback that I'm drafting, I'm likely cutting. But that's why the DTR stuff is fascinating, because he's likely a 5th round pick. The guys that they have, Jake Hayner, Tanner McKee, guys like Clayton Tune, those guys are probably 4th, 5th rounders, or 3rd through 5th in that range. So if they take one of those guys, that is going to be just fascinating. Just fascinating. Just more twists and turns for the quarterback situation. Uh, let's see. Oh man, I still imagine if they had taken Mahomes instead of Thomas, how much drama would have been avoided. How many trophies? Oh, feels good, doesn't it? Can you think Mahomes would? Oh, do you think Mahomes would be the same quarterback that is basically what he is now? It would be interesting because we do know Mahomes did struggle with processing coming out of college. That's why I had a question mark on Mahomes. So I have a demigod status. I haven't tagged anyone as a demigod in this draft class yet, but I haven't been studying the quarterbacks or anything crazy like that. So coming out, Patrick Mahomes, I had him as a demigod in training because he had all the tools, traits, and intangibles that would have him be a demigod type player, the exact player that he is now. But I didn't know how he would translate from an air raid scheme under Cliff Kingsbury to a pro style scheme where you're having to process defenses pre snap, then process defenses post snap. And, you know, he was used to looking to the sideline and they'd show 4 pictures and that would tell him what the play was. That's much different than an NFL style scheme. So with with Mahomes, I had him as a demigod in training. Um, I still think he probably would have done fine. Kyle would have made it work because I mean, there's so much talent there. Uh, would he have started over Hoyer? I think Hoyer would have started. You would have had Hoyer, quarterback 1, Patrick Mahomes, quarterback 2. Could you imagine? That would be crazy. Man, the what ifs. The what ifs. We could do a whole episode on draft what ifs. What if, the 49ers took CeeDee Lamb instead of uh Javon Kinlaw? And then instead of taking Brandon Ayuk, they take Jeffrey Simmons, and then your stack is CeeDee Lamb, Jeffrey Simmons, opposed to Brandon Ayuk, Javon Kinlaw. There's a what if. All right, we got a super chat. Super chats go to the top, and then I'll try to go back to where I left off because we are doing a Q&A. So super chat questions or comments get bumped to the top, and then I'll go back and try to find my place and work my way down. Corey Soto, appreciate you as always, my guy, sending super chats. Super helpful, especially during this off season time of the year. Appreciate the super chats. And again, appreciate all you guys just vibing, watching, liking. Huge for the channel. Mahomes came to the NFL struggling with pro math and was like, all right, I'm just going to invent this new calculus called I do what I want. Hey, man, when you have that type of talent and traits, you can do whatever the heck you want. But that's how good he was. And he's not having too much problems right now doing any of the processing, any of what he's asked to do on a day to day. I think I missed this one earlier, right? Nope. I think I'm back on track. Wait, nope. I'll come back to that one. Marquise says, do you think the Niners will trade up in the second round? If so, how many picks will it cost? Depends on how far they go and who they trade with. But like I've done in some of my mocks, I'm willing to trade a pick like a third or fourth from next year to get up into this year if it helps with value because I still want some of these picks. So like if I take say I take pick 102, say I take a 2024 fourth and maybe like 155. Maybe that will get me up into the second. If I can so basically I get a let's say pick 72. Give me pick 72. I'll kick you back 102 plus 155 and next year's fourth or third that you're going to get comped back to you because of the free agents. So that's why I'm not opposed to taking a future in 2024 and flipping it to help me get into the second. I think that would work. And allows you to move up, keep a lot of your picks in this draft currently to still build out depth and build out the roster. And this is a deep class, so you could take advantage of that. But I think you could use some of those futures, sprinkle that on top, trying to sweeten the pot in regards to moving up. And if you go move up, you can get quality tackle, you get quality edge, you get a bunch of different guys, man. Brad, who's the very top of your list for us realistically to draft? Do you think we trade up? Realistically, I feel like Blake Freeland is a realistic option. I think Quan Martin is a realistic option. Jair Brown could be a realistic option. I'm really curious to see if Byron Young out of Tennessee or Elijah McGuire out of Mizzou, KJ Henry out of Clemson. I'm really curious to see if those guys are still there, if they stay at third. Um, but those are some guys that I really like that are at the top of my list. Of course, Nick Saldiveri is in that third round conversation. He's been one of the biggest risers this class that no one talks about. He's starting to get some buzz. You had Palacero talk about him. You've had Nagy talk about him. You've had Brandon Thorne talk about him. I spoke to his offensive line trainer at the combine, Big Duke, from O Line Masterminds. Saldiveri is rising. Saldiveri is my very first draft crush from this season, and he is valued right there at around that third round range. But what's going to be interesting, does he make it to 99? Because my first initial gut watching him was he's 75 to 100. Well, does he make it to 100? Does that mean he even makes it to the 49ers? Does Freeland even make it to the 49ers? Freeland feels like a 80, 90 guy. So that's why I think the 49ers should move up. I think they should. I think they should go up, try to snag someone. 100%. I think they should. Uh ideal trade. I think I talked about this before. Uh there's this trade that I did with uh the Patriots. I think the Patriots have pick 75 where I could basically take like let's say 99 and they have like 115. It's like we do a 99 170 or 75 pick swap. So we get 75, they get 99. But we take their 116 and we give them 102. So we drop back from 102 out like 14 picks. And then if you sprinkled in like a fourth or a fifth from 2020, jump up to 75, you still have 101, and then you're at 116, and then it's 150. I think it's 155 after that. So you're more spread out. So you're able to hop up, stay at your original spot, and drop back. And you're not giving up. It's like basically pick swap for the future picks. I feel like that would be a clutch trade because you still be able to get a lot done and still be able to move again if you wanted to. But I like that trade a lot. Uh, do I think they would start Brock over Trey Lance? 100%. I do think they would. Like I've said it before, if OTAs was starting today and Brock Purdy didn't get hurt, Brock Purdy would be your day one starter. I said it, I think, after the NFC Championship game. I've said it multiple times since then, and basically the San Francisco 49ers have said the same thing as well. Um, Kittle said it, the general managers said it. So I do think they would definitely start Brock over Lance. All right. Appreciate the questions that you guys are getting in here. I'm being long-winded with them, so it's taking me a while to work through them. Again, super chats kind of get you bumped up to the top. Uh, isn't Bennett older than all our quarterbacks? I think so. I think he might be even older than Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold's only 25. I think Bennett's 25 too. So, yeah, he's older. That's for sure. He's older. I think Purdy's older than Trey Lance, which is crazy. Trey Lance for D Hop. Would you trade Trey Lance to Arizona? I love D Hop. D Hop's one of my all-time favorite draft crushes ever. Like, that was my guy. I went to war for D Hop during draft season. Everyone called him slow. They said he wasn't that guy. But I was a big D Hop guy pre-draft. I don't know if Trey Lance in division to go back up. I mean, D Hop, that would be kind of crazy though. D Hop, Ayuk would be nuts, man. With Debo, but he makes a lot. Again, he makes a lot of money. He makes a lot of money. D Hop, that is. All right, trying to catch up here. What if Mahomie was grooming Trey to be his backup? There's a tinfoil hat theory. Max Dugan is a 6th or 7th. You want him? I take a flyer on him. Again, seems like a practice squad guy. Kick him around to the practice squad, see what he is. I think he's a competitor. It would be interesting to see how he translate to the NFL. But hey, he's a ginger. All that stuff. We got Justin texting in the chat. That's funny. Yeah, Frank Gore is at the Niners facility checking out the pro day. Actually, no, and nothing against David Lombardi, but I did see Jordan Elliott from Niners Nation had it first, but also reported by David Lombardi. Also reported. This guy says Cody Mock, Marte Mapu, Chad Ryland, the GOAT, Chad Ryland are my choices scheme wise, but you can only hope. 100%. Ooh, what former draftee defensive lineman pre-Kyle would have benefited from Coach K? Tank Carradine would have had a resurrection. Interesting. That's a good question. Ian Williams would have been interesting to see what Ian Williams is looking like in that scheme. Healthy Ian Williams, maybe. Drafted. So Justin Smith isn't drafted. He was a free agent. What other? Mike Purcell, but I think Purcell was I think he was an undrafted free agent. I like Mike Purcell. Let's see what other guys. Quentin Dial. Corey Lemonnier. Remember Lemonnier? 3rd round pick out of Virginia. I actually thought that was good. I thought he was going to be a guy. Not like when I say a guy, which I do say for like legit players. I thought he was going to be someone that could make an impact, not a impact, impact. but he was more of a kind of outside linebacker, I guess. Ooh, Carlos, I think wins. Aaron Lynch, remember Aaron Lynch? Was he 5th rounder? Aaron Lynch had that dog in him. Uh, he was big. He was relentless off the edge. Justin says PETA. I can't say his name. I'm not even gonna try it. PETA for sure. PETA for sure. PETA's doing work in the XFL right now. Um, how come O-line isn't a bigger need with Trent hitting at retirement and RT really improving? How come we aren't putting a need there? It's my biggest need in the draft. 100%. Uh, that's my number one. You can make a case for safety and edge, uh, and all that type of stuff. But for me, right tackle is my numero uno. I've been watching a lot of right tackles this draft, and I still got right tackle work to do. Uh, but um, yeah, I definitely think that is something that is a big time big time need for sure. Let's see. This guy says, Brad, in your opinion, let's say trade Trey, right? So we would count on Darnold. Uh, what ifs on Purdy's injury? So we would count on Darnold and what ifs on Purdy's injury and possibly a free agent or a drafted quarterback. But to you, does it really make sense? Does it make sense to trade Trey Lance and have Sam Darnold, Purdy, and a rookie quarterback? I mean, obviously, hindsight being what it is, like if the 49ers are theoretically out on um, Trey Lance and that it just sucks at the end of the day, right? Like it sucks that it didn't work out. And I hope it doesn't get to that point because I just remember the excitement that we had when the 49ers traded up the 3. I mean, I was super excited because I had already been infatuated with Justin Fields. So I was like, wow, this is it. Like the stars are aligning. We're getting Justin Fields. Like it you look at the connections that Kyle had with Justin before, like they'd worked together. I was like, oh, it's happening. We're gonna get Justin Fields. But it didn't happen. And even when you got Trey, like again, we we were aiming for this year 3. That's kind of what we've been talking about. Even with Trey, even with Fields, right? The magical year 3. Look at the magical year 3 for Josh Allen. Magical year 3 for Jalen Hurts. Patrick Mahomes only took him a year to develop. But you look at Jalen Hurts last year in his third year, and you look at Josh Allen in his third year. That's what we were talking about. Like we knew there was going to be bumps and bruises with any rookie. But it was like, man, just imagine when we get to that year 3. Just imagine when we get to that year 3 what that's going to look like. And now we're getting to that year 3. We're here, and it's like we're talking about trading Trey Lance. He's only played in 4 games. It hurts. It's hard to, Does it make sense? Sometimes life doesn't make sense, right? It just, it's just unfortunate. It's starting to feel unfortunate with how it's playing out, right? Just starting to feel unfortunate. So we'll see. We'll see how it ultimately plays out. Appreciate James for the super chat. Says, can you give us a offensive tackle hierarchy breakdown in this draft when you get done scouting everyone? 100%. I have probably there's a lot of tackles. There's a lot of tackles. Um, I'm still working through the tackles in range for the San Francisco 49ers at uh what's it called? Pick 99 or in the third round range because there's potentially like 6 or 7 guys that could be available there. Um so I mean, I might even be able to I can tell you right now uh what those guys are that I think based and then I could do a definite ranking for sure. Um and all that stuff. But kind of the way that I'm seeing it stand right now with kind of available prospects that could be in that range, you're looking at Blake Freeland, Nick Saldiveri, Wanya Morris, Jalen Duncan, the other tackle at Oklahoma, I'm blanking on his name. Um, there's probably like 3 or 4 other guys that I'm just blanking on off the top of my head. Um, but there's multiple clusters of tackles that can be available, um, kind of in that range available. But you have all those top tier guys, Skaronski, Broderick, uh, Cody Mock and Bergeron. They might be like a tier in between the third round guys. So there's like even a tier like in between the third round guys. Like there's a lot of tackles. So it's going to be really interesting to see which ones ultimately come come down it comes down to. But I could do a tier breakdown the way that I've seen it because I'm still working through um, the ones where I think the 49ers are going to be in range. Uh, Anton Harrison. I want to watch Seam Richards. Wanya Morris looks pretty good. Then there's a whole tier. There's a lot, man. It's pretty good depth at offensive tackle. But thank you for the super chat. Um, thank you for asking the question. Appreciate everyone vibing today, um, and all that good stuff. Uh, not a whole lot going on. We outside what we had the local pro day that's cooking up right now. Um, Frank Gore's there. There's there's only so much we can take away from that. Um, I saw Chris Sims today ranked Blake Freeland as his number 5 tackle. Uh, so that's interesting. I'm not going to cite Chris Sims rankings as gospel. Well, it is interesting. He has Matthew Bergeron as a second ranked interior O line. I look at Matthew Bergeron as a guard. A lot of people like him at tackle at a Syracuse. He looks like a guard to me. He just looks like a guard playing tackle. He definitely looks like a guard in the NFL. Cody Mock, I think, can play tackle and guard for sure. So we'll see. Braden Daniels is one of my guys out of Utah. He has guard tackle versatility. He reminds me of Spencer Burford. Do you think we have a chance to get Harrison out of OSU edge rusher in the third? Yeah, we do. I think he'll be there. He's got great length. I think he's like 6'6", 275. Pretty good traits. I haven't done a full study on him, but so far, pretty good. This is so nice. Shout out Brandon. Appreciate the $20 super chat. That really means a lot. I appreciate you, man. He says, shout out to the SDS squad. Where y'all at? Drop a super chat for the GOAT Brad if you're a real one. Hey, shout out to Brandon, man. Appreciate the $20 super chat. I think it's your second super chat too of the show, man. Shout out to all the legends. Maybe it was maybe the first, but still, nonetheless, shout out to Brandon, man. Appreciate you for that. I really, really do, man. Appreciate to all you guys. James, appreciate you to you, Corey, as always, for sending super chats, man. Really do appreciate it. Legend. Shout out to all the SDS. Really do appreciate that. Patabo says, Brad, what's funny is I trust your judgment on O-line guys more than most of these supposed in the know reporters. Well, I appreciate that, one. And two, not being a reporter doesn't necessarily mean you're an evaluator, I guess, per se. But I do appreciate the compliment. But sometimes the reporters, they're just there to report, not necessarily evaluate. So, but I do appreciate that. It means a lot, man. And shout out to all the SDS. Appreciate all you guys as always for tapping in with me, vibing with me. I know it's been a long off season and it continues to get longer with all the continuous talk. But hey, man, we are inching closer and closer, at least to the draft. Then guess what? Big time off season coming up where we're going to have OTAs. We're going to have mandatory mini camp. Then it's going to get real quiet for a little while. Then we got training camp. It's going to be here before we know it. Already see you guys grabbing your cookies. You guys know me so well. You already know when I start rounding off the show. Appreciate you guys. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Grab your cookies on the way out. Really quick, Marquis says, NFL Network projects the Niners drafting Blake Freeland at pick 99. What do you think? I'm fine with that. I'm absolutely fine with that. I like that. I think it's good value and it fits a need, and he could definitely grow. But appreciate you guys. Appreciate everyone who sent a super chat. Appreciate everyone who asked a question. And of course, appreciate all y'all. I'm out of here for now. Peace. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see